I mean, the Mets take game 3 in Boston, and I feel like the question on everybody's mind is the Mets' new lineup the recipe for success?
Well, Vito, whether this exact lineup combination is the recipe or another one, the big thing is Carlos Mendoza has a lot of ingredients for how he shapes his lineup to find the optimal mix to get the most from 1 through 9 in the Mets batting order. I'm talking guys like Jeff McNeil, who's had a lot of success hitting second, who hasn't struck out in 2 weeks, by the way. Starling Marte was the number 2 hitter on Wednesday night. He's done a good job. Pete Alonso's hit second in his career. We saw Mark Vientos hit second. And of course, Juan Soto can hit second as well. So Carlos Mendoza has shown he's not afraid to mix and match.
Last year, almost a year ago to the day, Carlos Mendoza moved Francisco Lindor to the leadoff spot and changed the season for the good.
So with Mendy's track record of not sitting around, trying to figure out how to tweak, how to fix when things aren't going right, and all the great options he has in this lineup, yes, I do think perhaps a little lineup change here can be a recipe of success for this New York Mets team moving forward.
Hey, welcome to Meet at the Apple, presented by PC Richard & Son. I'm Vito Calise. That's Jonathan Barron. Just a reminder to rate, review the podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Those rates and reviews go a really long way, so we would appreciate it if you leave some. We'll read out your review on the podcast if you leave a fun one. So just do that for us. Follow us on Twitter, wherever you get your podcast, Apple and Spotify. But John, Mets dropped 2 out of 3. And I feel like we almost summon this because every week we say, if they win game 3, it feels completely different. And at the end of the day, I do feel good. Like leaving game 3 in Boston with the positives results, we saw over the course of 3 days, we saw some positives in all games. But leaving game 3 on a high note, I feel great with the Dodgers coming into town this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously nice to go into the off day sitting on a win as opposed to a loss. And also, you know, the Mets did a good job because they won the game that when you looked at the series before it started with Garrett Crochet looming in game 3, that's the game you might worry a little bit about. But Tyler Megill was equal to the task. He matched Garrett Crochet, perhaps pitched a little bit better than Garrett Crochet, striking out 10 Red Sox in his outing. And the Mets came up with the big hit. And I know that there are a lot of storylines the first couple of games in Boston about hitting with runners in scoring position. I'm sure we will continue to hear about this. It is kind of a buzz term in baseball. And the Mets had been struggling in that area. But as we've talked about here, these guys are good hitters. If they can hit with runners with no one on, with the bases empty, they could hit with runners on base. And on Wednesday night, it was Brett Baty who got 2 big hits against 2 tough lefties, Carlos Mendoza, putting Brett Baty in the starting lineup against not just a lefty, but one of the toughest lefties in baseball, equal to the task with not 1, but 2 big hits against lefties, helping the Mets earn that game 3 victory.
Yeah, I want to go back to Tyler Megill real quick because I think the big recipe for why there was success for Tyler Megill was the no walks. He walked 1 guy. And that's the biggest problem we've seen with Tyler over his last few starts where he seemed a little rocky, was not being able to pitch in the strike zone, which is a problem we've seen with a lot of guys in this rotation this year. But seeing Tyler be able to limit it in that game and just against a good Red Sox lineup, against a team that is underperforming right now themselves, but, you know, they look good against the Mets. But the lack of walks, the control of the 10 strikeouts, Tyler Megill, this start was like one of those ones early in the season that we talk about where, and this is for the entire rotation, where you're watching the game and you don't even realize that a guy's like nearing 7, 8, 9 strikeouts until you see the alert come up on the lower third. But also easily could have finished that 4th inning if there wasn't a miscue in the infield, which is another problem the Mets have struggled with in the last week. But all of that will correct itself. We saw this last year. Early in the season, the Mets had some defensive problems that end up working themselves out because when you have an infield as good as the Mets have, the problem isn't going to stay the same for long. John, you brought up Brett Baty, and I think he's going to get a lot of credit for his bat over the last week, but we really need to give him credit for the third base he's been playing.
He's been very impressive, but for me, really, like I said, it was the hits against the lefties. Garrett Crochet dominated against lefties, and then Alex Cora brings in Brendan Bernardino to face him. And Brett goes the other way, 2 strikes, good hitting. So, you know, I would think that the Mets will continue to ride the hot hand, especially with some of the offensive struggles that they've had. they're going to see Clayton Kershaw on Friday. Now, I know this is not the same Clayton Kershaw that we are used to seeing that, used to dominate back in 2015 when he'd come to Citi Field and you'd see his name as a probable starter and you'd say, oh, great. But curious to see how the Mets play it because Brett Baty has certainly earned his keep on both sides of the ball, not just with the bat, but like you mentioned, with the glove as well.
Yeah, it was really exciting to see Brett break out and to get those major moments to get a lefty and it be Garrett Crochet, who, like you said, when you look at the probable starters and you start mapping out the games and how are the Mets going to win 2 out of 3 in this one, that's the one game that you're like, okay, this is going to be the problem. And then when they lose 2 out of 3, you're nervous. But Brett Baty coming through in that moment, I mean, Brett has been, Brett's been really fun to watch since coming back up to this team. And for the fact, I mean, look, Francisco Lindor broke the home run drought last night. The last person to hit a home run before him was Brett Baty against Pittsburgh a week ago. So it just shows you what level Brett Baty has been producing as far as it goes on the offensive side. But we should also talk about Clay Holmes, who game 2, Tuesday night, Mets lose that one, but Clay Holmes looked phenomenal. Didn't give up any hard contact. 6 innings, only giving up a single earned run and 6 strikeouts. Clay Holmes, just every start you're seeing that this project, this transition, this isn't really a project anymore. This is just legitimate starting material from a guy who's going to have a great year.
Yeah, he's now gone at least 6 innings in 5 of his last 6 outings. The 2 home runs he surrendered, both, I don't want to say cheapies. Nothing's cheap in the major leagues, but not balls that were universally gone if you put them in other major league ballparks. I think one of them was gone in 4 parks. One of them was gone in 5 parks. So just got to kind of take the ball and move on to the next one. But like you said, he did a great job, gave his team a chance to win. Obviously, the Mets get shut out on Tuesday night. But yeah, Clay Holmes continues to be a very, very good starting pitcher for this Mets team. And for him to go through the lineup 2 times, complete 6 innings. Now, like I said, 5 of the last 6 times he's gone out there. That's incredibly important. He's only leaving his bullpen with, on this night, 2 innings to navigate because obviously there's no bottom of the 9th inning. But if it's a game at home, only 3 more innings to figure out. So that's huge for Clay, who continues to really shine in this rotation as it seems like the transition is complete. He looks fully comfortable as a starting pitcher.
And John, you bring up those cheapies, those shots at the top of the monster. It's been a few years since the Mets have played at Fenway. I forgot how frustrating it is to watch balls bounce off the wall of the monster. It gives me flashbacks. It gives me PTSD from the early days of Citi Field and the Great Wall of Flushing, which when you're at games now and you look at do you ever just sit there and see a home run hit the party deck and just think, oh, wow, that wouldn't have been out in 2009?
I think the biggest challenge is being the camera guy, the high home camera guy, following the ball in the air. I remember John Sterling in 2021 got pretty caught up on a fly ball. I think it was the wild card game, Red Sox, Yankees. Stanton hit a ball, and John Sterling lost it. Thought it was immediately gone, and it was large in part due because the camera went so high that it gave the impression that the ball was way over the monster. Was it Lansdowne Street behind Fenway Park, I believe, and I think it grazed the monster and fell. So definitely an interesting place. An interesting place for a lefty hitter to go, especially a lefty who has that natural opposite stroke. They always say play pepper with the wall. So I mean, we saw that happen a little bit. We saw Luis Torrens hit a ball off the monster. Fenway's awesome, really cool place to play. But keep in mind the monster is very shallow. So for what it provides in height, doesn't provide in depth. So that it kind of makes up for it there. But some pretty famous home runs hit over that monster over the years.
And although we might have mentioned this already, I think we should bring it up again because it's time for the PC Richard & Son electric moment of the series. Brett Baty breaking open the game, giving the Mets the lead, which they'll maintain for the rest of the game, giving them their first win since Saturday. We've talked about Brett Baty for weeks now and how important he is to this team, but seeing Brett have that moment, second time in the last 2 weeks where he has put the team ahead, it's just, look, everybody in this team, everybody in the front office, everybody in that field is rooting for Brett Baty. We're rooting for Brett Baty. So moments like that, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, Brett continues to use left field, which for me is the most impressive thing, and I think sustainable because Brett's not trying to do too much when he's going the other way with pitches. He also had some bad luck on Tuesday night. Hit a ball right at the first baseman with a runner in scoring position, 2 outs. I believe he stung it 99 miles an hour off the bat, but the process is good for Brett Baty. He is using all fields and he is taking advantage of an opportunity. And we've seen this Mets team, this front office, Carlos Mendoza, reward the hot hand and stick with the hot hand. And Brett Baty is still only 25 years old. And we saw the Mets make a little bit of an adjustment with their batting lineup on Wednesday. And that's another example of not just the Mets providing chances to the hot hand, but also if something's not working long term, the Mets are going to sit and try to figure out, okay, how can we possibly solve this? We, of course, just passed the 1 year anniversary of Francisco Lindor moving to the one spot in the Mets lineup. Carlos Mendoza makes a slight tweak to his lineup on Wednesday in Boston, moving a righty Starling Marte to the 2-hole against the lefty Garrett Crochet. Like we mentioned, the Mets will see another lefty on Friday in Clayton Kershaw. So, hey, Mendy makes a move. It pays off. The Mets get a W. We'll see if it sticks for at least one more day, but everyone gets to move down to the lineup a little bit. Everyone has a little less pressure on their shoulders. That way, when you take a guy from the bottom of the lineup, stick him toward the top. In that first inning, Starling Marte had a really long at-bat against Garrett Crochet, made Crochet throw a lot of pitches, and everyone in that Met dugout got to watch Crochet up close and personal. I know the Mets saw him last year in Chicago, but it was a short-lived outing. The White Sox didn't let him go, I think, more than 3 innings. Obviously, they were keeping him healthy, knowing they were likely going to trade him. So the move pays off for Carlos Mendoza by making the lineup adjustment, and the move also pays off by giving Brett Baty a chance against a tough lefty. He comes through with a couple big hits, 3 RBIs, helping the Mets salvage the finale in Boston.
Yeah, it seems like this new Mets lineup is going to be a recipe for success. Starling Marte had a lot of success. Obviously, he's not going to be the everyday starter, but Starling Marte had a lot of success in the 2-hole back in 2022 when the team was at its hottest. I mean, Starling Marte getting injured in 2022 is one of the big reasons the Mets end up giving that lead. And then the bottom of the lineup, which has been producing a lot over the last week or two, we've seen guys getting on, but you get the speed at the back of that lineup. When you have a trio of Tyrone Taylor, Brett Baty, and Luisangel Acuña, guys with legs and speed under them getting on, and then you have Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, Pete Alonso coming up to help move those guys over. I mean, it's just an absolute recipe for success. You said it a few seconds ago. 1 year ago is when the Mets made that change, and then the entire season started to change. We're not at the point where the whole season needed to change for the better, but we're at a point where, hey, you know what? The Mets need a little change up. It happened. Carlos Mendoza is always going to be tinkering with this team.
And you mentioned the bottom of the lineup in production. There's one guy in particular who we've been big fans of since he came over here and the production he's provided, and he has done just that for really now the last month. You go back to April 28th. I'm talking about Tyrone Taylor, who's slashing 339, 391, 508. He had a pretty big series in Boston, had an RBI on Monday night, OPSing just under 900 and playing that gold glove defense. Also that golden personality, Vito.
Yeah, so we got a chance to talk with Tyrone Taylor, and he's one of my favorite guys to speak with. It's that meme. He's just a chill guy. Like, having a talk with him really feels like you're hanging out with one of your friends. Really fun conversation. Showed him a few of his catches, had him talk about them, what was going through his mind. Talked to him about last year's team versus this year's team, the bonds that were made last year, the differences in the start this year. But I also just want to give people a note. There will be a few audio technical problems with this interview. Nothing too crazy. You might just hear a little clipping. You might just hear a little static here and then. Overall, no real problems. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that it's not in your head. That is happening on the recording, but the issue is figured out moving forward. So here's our interview with Tyrone Taylor, and we'll see you guys on the other side.
Welcome to Meet at the Apple, presented by PC Richard & Son. I'm Vito Calise. That's Jonathan Barron. You're with Tyrone Taylor. Tyrone, you're just king of the outfield highlight reel, and we're going to get to that later, but me, as just a regular old dummy who doesn't know how to track a fly ball, I've always been so curious of, like, the art or the science behind it from somebody who's actually in that moment of like what you're looking for, leading to a guy walking up and that ball going up in the air?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm just trying to be as present as I can be out there to be able to see the ball off the bat and have the quickest reaction as I can.
We talk a lot on this show, especially this year. You know, this podcast started in 2024. Different team, different means of winning games, I think. This year's team, while you guys have started to hit for more power, and you got a guy named Soto in the lineup, and Lindor and Alonso, that's not what excites us, because we're kind of nerds here on the show. At least I'll speak for myself. I don't want to speak for Vito. But what I love about this team is the defense you guys play and the way you guys run the bases. You're aggressive. You take the extra 90 feet. You take away outs from the opposing team, just like that relay play in Arizona where you cut down a run at the plate, started by you. What goes into being so good at what many people deem the small things, but what we deem the big things, because you guys are finding ways to win by doing these little things well, and over time they accumulate and they make a big difference.
Yeah, we do have a bunch of dogs on our team. It's pretty awesome, but I think we do a good job of going over these little things before they even happen, whether it's individually in our heads, just being prepared, but also in meetings. Every day we have these team meetings, and Antoine is going over little things with base running, things with outfield, things that we could get better at constantly, and I think it's helpful.
So you talked about thinking about going through things in your head. I know when I played Little League, my dad always told me, like, you know, think about.
You guys are the same.
Perhaps we are. We'll see what Tyrone's answer
Were
is
you
here.
picking grass in the outfield in Little League?
No, I wasn't. I was the third baseman.
Hey.
Robin Ventura was my guy, hot corner guy. But you know, the old adage is always think about if the ball is hit to you, what are you going to do with it? What's your play? Where are you throwing to based on the situation? Now that you're playing at the highest level in the world that this sport offers, are you doing the same thing?
Same thing, man.
You're
Same
right.
thing.
We are the same. No,
I feel like I'm doing a podcast with Tyrone Taylor every day.
Yeah, literally. If Taylor's running on first base, I'm like, all right, base hit, line 3, keep the ball low. I'm trying to know whether the runner's fast or slow, if I'm gonna have time or not. Fly ball. Back, he might tag, so get behind it, get ready to throw it to second, and he's not going anywhere, so I'll be able to have more time. But all those little things I'm going through in my head.
Are there any moments, any catches that you yourself were even surprised by, of like, I can't believe I actually got to that thing?
Dude, the one the other day in left center field, who was that against?
Against Arizona?
Yeah, against
the crazy
Arizona.
inning.
Gurriel, yeah.
The best inning ever defensively.
Yeah.
Vito actually came prepared. He has that catch. Is that, while Vito pulls it up, is that your favorite catch you've ever made in your career?
It's up there for sure.
Did you look at the metrics on that catch? Like how much time you had, how much hang time the ball had, distance needed, distance covered, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I watched it a good amount after, and then every time I watched it, the metrics would pop up at the end of it, so I was able to see that. But
All right, so give us a little play-by-play on this. I'm going to play it for you and just like talk to us about it.
yeah, I was shaded in the right center gap, so he hit the ball to left center. I tried to get a good jump. I'm taking off like midway there. I take a peek to see if I have a chance, and I'm like, oh dang, I might be able to get here. So I just put my head down and continue to run, and then I see it last second and lay out for it, and I was able to snag it for Petey. It was exciting.
What's the mindset as a center fielder? You know, up the middle defense, we also talk about that here on the show a lot. Catcher, second base, shortstop, center field. If you're strong up the middle, you're going to put yourself in position to win a lot of ball games. You're the anchor of that outfield. You've played corner spots as well in your career. What's the mindset difference between being a corner outfielder and being that guy up the middle in center field with all that room to cover?
Yeah, I think it's easier for me just to have the same mindset no matter what position I'm at. You know, I'm just trying to be out there and, like I said, just be as present as possible, be confident, and be as calm and have relaxed eyes, so I'm able to see the ball as quickly as I can.
On a play like that one, sorry, Vito, on a play like that one, you got a football background, and you're a great athlete going back to high school. Do the other experiences you've had in other sports help you just kind of forget about baseball and just see ball, catch the ball, do what you got to do to get to the spot and reel that thing in?
Yeah, and I think that's a good example of, like, if it kind of feels, when the ball's in the air, it feels like I'm going and trying to catch the ball, like I'm a receiver catching a pass. So in those situations, it's cool. And then when I'm able to catch it, the excitement I feel and the energy I feel inside of me is similar to being on a football field also. So it's pretty cool.
Touchdown dance next time. How about that? Yeah, man. It's 2025. We're being expressive on the diamond.
I already do enough. Like after that, I didn't even know I blacked out. I just got excited and like I do things. So that's enough for me. I don't need to do a dance.
Now, I want to go over more of your moments, but on the other side of it, you've had some hits robbed by you this year.
Bro.
What's it like being on the other side of it? Because you're so used to being on the winning side.
Yeah, see, I go into the games and like I wish nothing but success for everybody because I know how hard it is and that's just how I like to go about the game. But
However,
but when I hit a ball hard and I see a dude catch the ball, I see the ball go up in the air and I'm like, oh, nobody's there. Heck yeah, that's double or something. And then all of a sudden I just see him lay out. I'm like, no way, bro. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's an amazing play. But at the same time, you're like, dang, I'm out now.
Did the Bader one hurt a little more?
Nah, the Bader one was. It was a cool moment, dude. Because Bader's my boy, man. We went through a lot last year together, and went through a lot of cool stuff, and it was just fun. When he caught it, I was like, dang, he's a dog out there. I would expect nothing less, but I was like, bro, you couldn't just let it drop for me, man. Come on.
And then you guys had that moment where you like you messed with him a little.
Yeah, I
as he
threw
was running
my
off the
batting
field.
gloves at him, and he was laughing. And he gave me a hug. It was all cool.
Do you feel like that 2024 team is this special situation where that's going to be like a brotherhood that you guys, like, no matter where you are in your lives, like 20 years from now, the guys on that roster are always going to have that kind of connection?
Yeah, I think it'll be something where like I won't talk to Bader for maybe years, and then I'll like when I hit him up, it'll be like we just talked yesterday. You know, I think it'll be like that for all of us for sure.
now it is a new year, and as a guy who you're a very social dude in the clubhouse and on the diamond,
Thank you.
I mean, you sit here, you talk with us, so
Thank you.
compare what happened last year. What fans don't see, fans see what's going on the field, but fans don't see a lot as well, and that's why these are valuable conversations to have. What fans don't see behind the scenes, last year's team versus what's percolating with this year's team. I mean, we're not even at Memorial Day yesterday. We were just talking about this yesterday. At this point in time, Francisco hadn't moved to the leadoff spot yet. You guys were only 2 games under 500. That other thing didn't happen, if you know. The glove toss. Yeah.
Good toss.
It was a good toss. It's a high
front row
row
seats for that one.
Yeah. But all those things hadn't even happened yet. And then boom, like dynamite, so much happened. You guys go on the run. Amazing. But now it's a new season, new faces, new everything. So what's the chemistry like this year compared to last year?
I think that's the key. Also, it is a new season. It's a new group of guys, so every year is going to be different. And I think you just gotta appreciate what last year was for what it was, and then this year just continue to grow with a new group and take it day by day to build the relationships that we have. But it's been awesome. It feels like everybody here is doing a great job of being their best selves individually, and then at the same time building these cool relationships that we have that are growing still with one another. And I feel like you could see it on the field and definitely in the clubhouse. It's fun to come to a work. Like, this is our jobs. Technically, it's cool.
Not technically.
We're all coworkers.
Yeah.
It's cool to come here and be happy and thankful to be around the guys that you're with. You don't have to come here and shy away from being yourself or anything. You could just be you, and everybody's into that.
Now, last year, the team meeting you guys had, obviously it sparked success, but also it sparked a new hit celebration, this. And we interviewed you around this time last year, and I asked you what that was, and you didn't want to tell me, which was cool. You didn't have to tell me. All good. Now there's a new one. Now we got this.
Here we go again. You're gonna try to get me to do it again.
I don't know.
It's not me, baby.
I don't know.
I don't know from me.
I don't know if this has any bad content or anything. But can you explain what happened with how this came about? Because it's been all season from the start of the year.
Yeah, I think once we had, I won't say what it is, but I'll go.
That's fine.
I'll explain it. I think it was big for us team wise to have a thing last year. I think it brought us together. Everybody was able to celebrate each other, and I think that's a positive thing. So this year we wanted to come into the season and make sure we had one to start, so we didn't just all of a sudden go through the poopy times that we did last year before we made one, and we wanted to start off hot. We learned from our mistakes pretty much, and I think it's been cool and it's been fun, and we love it.
So last year we had the OMG sign for home run Sallies. This year there hasn't been anything that's taken that spot yet. But I've seen people on Twitter say this. I've seen the boombox that Luisangel Acuña brings a lot with them. That big orange and blue boombox. You guys from the video with it. I'm just throwing it out there. It feels like that would be a sick thing to be a home run trophy.
Dude, that would be pretty cool. We have the boombox. Rookies always have to carry something on the bus, so. I don't know how heavy that is. I kind of feel bad for him if
it's heavy. We have another one. It's like 40 pounds. It's really heavy.
Damn,
farmer's carries.
He's getting stronger. But yeah, that thing is coming clutch a couple times on the road. For BP, the music wouldn't be on at the stadiums, and you just turn that thing on for our own batting practice, and we're just out there having a good time.
So throw it out there, man. Bring it up to the guys. Like, this is a sick thing. Imagine you hit a home run, you come back in, and you hold that thing up, and you play a song you like.
Is it legal to play a song in the dugout?
If it's preloaded, is it illegal?
I guess there's nothing against it,
They
right?
might think we're giving signs or something if we start playing some music randomly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so just hold it. No music. Just hold it.
the Niners came out. I think Patrick Willis had a boombox, and then McNasty State, or however you pronounce it, in the tournament, they had the student, the grad student, Khan, who got the NIL deal. Walked out with the boombox.
Was it a pimped out one?
Yeah, it was. It was a customized one. It was sick.
I got to hit more homers, dude, so I could get involved in this thing.
Dude, your home run against Arizona, I was so hyped up, man. I was here with my wife and her family, and like I was with a bunch of Russian people who'd never been to a baseball game before. So you come up in that moment, you change the trajectory of the game. Unfortunately, the team loses in the end, but like you put a spark plug into the end of a game that goes back to this thing we talk about every week on the show, which is this team is never out of games.
Yeah, I think that's a cool thing about us too. I feel like even the games that we've lost recently, at least, they have been a lot of one-run ball games that we're right there in them. You know, we just never give up. We're always fighting, and it's fun to be a part of.
And that home run against Justin Martinez, who has some of the filthiest stuff in baseball, the bottom of the Mets order this year has been the best 7-8-9 trio in all of baseball. And what you guys do a great job of is getting on base. I think you guys have the best combined OBP 7-8-9 in baseball. And you've been a run scoring machine because you're constantly getting on base for Lindor and Soto and Pete. How important is it for you when you step in the box to say, hey, just whatever means necessary, I'm going to get on base here because we got some boppers at the top and I'm going to come around and score.
Yeah,
Scoring
bro.
runs is the coolest thing in baseball.
Yeah, bro, it's huge. You know, knowing that I got the big daddies behind me in the lineup.
Big daddies.
I'm literally just trying to get on base, bro. That's all. I know when I'm on first base, I'm always one swing away at being a 2-run homer with Frankie up. So, yeah, I think getting on base is huge for us.
All right, so I'm going to take you to a moment from last year. NLCS Dodgers, Tommy Edman up at bat. You had what was, I think, the catch of the postseason last year. So let's talk about this one.
Oh, yeah. That was similar to the left center one, except for on this one, I had a lot more fear because I saw big Starling Marte coming at me, dude.
That's a big boy.
Bro,
Not much give there either. That's all muscle.
He's huge, bro. I was like, oh no, somebody's got to catch this. And I just stuck my arm out there and I was like, please don't rip off my arm.
And I think that's also part of why that catch was so impressive, because you did have the ball to catch and you had to avoid Marte, because if you collide with him, not only is that probably not going to feel very good, but there's a chance that the ball is jarred loose and it's a hit. And Tommy Edman, he doesn't need any more hits, that Tommy Edman, since he got to the Dodgers. I don't know what's going on there.
Bro.
I don't know what's going on there, but he doesn't need any more hits. All right, let's check out the next one here.
Next one is Tim Tawa, just a few weeks ago here at Citi Field against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, those. I like these plays like this. I feel like being present in the moment is huge on things like that, because you have such a small amount of time to react to it and run in. If I were to take half a step back or not read it as well for a split second, then I have no chance on that. And then also confidence and like trusting my read right there is huge too. If I hesitate, that ball is a base hit. So those ones are always pretty cool for me.
What do you enjoy more as a center fielder who catches everything? Going back on a ball going lateral on a ball, having to track it down in the gap, or the Andrew Jones, who was the best at coming in on a baseball and robbing guys of hits?
I enjoy them all. I think that one right there coming in on line drive is the toughest for me. So when I make plays like that, I'm pretty proud of myself on those ones.
And do you agree when they say the toughest ball is the one hit right at you because it's kind of the toughest read off the bat?
Yeah, because if it's over your head like a high line drive, it's hard to decide which way to open up. So those are pretty tough.
All right, let's go to the Phillies. Nick Castellanos up. Kyle Schwarber at first base. I think you know which one this is.
Oh, yeah.
This one was cool. This one, this Deke, I played with JBJ, Jackie Bradley Jr., bro. He used to deke all the time. I saw him deke he deked a guy in right center field in Pittsburgh, pretending that it was a home run, and the guy was on first base. So the dude thought it was a home run, and he rounded second base, like, just
he pretended like it actually went over the wall?
He was just looking at the wall, and then all of a sudden he caught it, and then the dude was already around in second base, so he had to run to first base. Really doubled him up, but he was the pro at deking, bro. So I don't know what got into me right here. I just tried it out, and then I saw that it worked a little bit, and he was a little too far, so I just threw it to Pete, and Pete made a nasty pick right there.
And that was the night that Luis Torrens had a big 2-strike hit to give you guys some insurance. You making that great play, not just a great play, but a heads-up play. And we were talking before about doing the little things. That's exactly what we're talking about. And is that are always talking about, hey, like, let's find ways to steal an out, take an out away, those small things that just make such a big difference. Evidence right there.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where, like, like you said, like LT's been, Louis Torrens has been pretty clutch lately, and I think it's just one of the things where we're all out there just doing our best and being our best selves, and these little things are a product of that, you know. You just never know who it's going to be on any given night for our team, and I think that's pretty awesome.
All right, I have one more. Alex, you had a great 2 series against the Diamondbacks.
And you're from the area, right? You're from.
Yeah, I live out there.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, this was good baseball, man. Just a little relay. You've been practicing it since you're like 10 years old. I got the ball in as fast as I can, then Paco threw it 150 miles per hour home plate. Nothing much more to be said about that.
And when Lindor is known, and Steve Gelb brought this up in an interview they did, but he doesn't celebrate offense. He doesn't celebrate his own offense ever. But if you make a catch, if that happens and Francisco Lindor turns to you and he's getting all fired up, how good does that feel?
Oh, huge, bro. I think anytime I do something cool like that in the outfield, I'm already fired up. So I think we just feed off of each other's energy, and yeah, I love that kind of stuff, bro. Anytime it's cool to help the pitcher while you're saving runs and like helping him throw less pitches in the inning. So you're giving him more innings to be able to pitch, and I think that's awesome. You know how it's like you could feel how thankful they are from the mound, and I'm like, heck yeah, bro, I got you.
So on that note, then, I think I asked this last year to a catcher, and my question for him was, would you rather throw a guy out to end a game or hit a walk-off home run? And he looked at me like I was crazy. But maybe you're different. Would you rather rob a potential walk-off home run that winds up being the last out of a victory, so like the ultimate defensive play you can make, or hit the walk-off home run yourself?
Dang, dude. That's a really good question. I could only imagine
That's what we do here.
That the amount of that the energy would be pretty freaking similar, but I think I gotta go with. Oh man, dude.
Would you rather be the hero or the villain? Because here's the thing: the walk-off can obviously only happen at home, in front of the home fans. The energy at home is great. The other one is taking away what the other fan base and the other team thinks that they're about to have at home, and you're sucking that all back. That's kind of cool if you're into that sort of thing.
They're both cool. I'm more thinking about the energy that I would have after and how I'd be able to channel it with the guys.
The walk-off homer?
Yeah, that. Or like if I were to rob a homer, would I just like run around like crazy because
Touchdown
you're
dance.
kind of far. You're kind of far from everybody when after you rob it, you know. So like, would I just be running in place and just screaming or something? Like,
Say so with the American flag.
nah, but I think hitting the walk off just because all the dudes would be at home plate. Yeah, you'd be going crazy. I'd be going crazy. Yeah,
Let's make it
good
happen.
times. Let's do it.
Let's
dude.
make it happen.
Come on, put it out there.
You know, another thing I want to see happen. I want to see a foot race. You and Luisangel Acuña.
I think he would smoke me, bro.
You think so?
Yeah, he's quick.
See the fastest
He's
guy on the
quick.
team?
I think he is. I gotta see the numbers, but I'm fast, but he's like quick and he's fast. You know, I need like momentum. He's like he goes.
Yeah, all we talk about on this podcast is how much fun it is to watch him run the bases. I mean, I know it ended in an out, but that play at third base with Arenado, where like he like almost like Matrix like slid past and got it back in time, like just so electric to watch.
Crazy, bro. It's like when I'm up to bat and he's on base, I'm just waiting. I'm like, all right, he's gonna steal here soon. Like I'm just waiting for him to go. I feel like everybody is like everybody knows, even the other team, they know he's gonna steal, but they can't do anything about it. He's so fast, it's crazy.
And now one other moment I want to talk to you about that you had this year. It was Francisco Lindor gets caught in a rundown. It was that moment where in a quick second he was like almost coaching you of like run home, run home. Could you talk about that moment and how important it is to have a guy like Francisco Lindor where in that moment you're even looking at him for like, oh, what are we doing on this play right here?
Yeah, I think once I realized he was in the rundown, I was waiting for the right time to go. I was waiting for the first baseman like to either take a few steps over or like right when he was about to throw the ball. And I think Paco just he just gave me that confidence and knowing like, all right, like, bro, you should go now. You know? Yeah, so it was cool. It was like almost like telepathic, but also he was doing himself because I was looking at the first baseman and him at the same time, like trying to judge the distance between them. So it was just cool. That's how slow the game is for that dude. It's pretty impressive. He's able to be in a rundown and be like, "Hey, buddy, go ahead now. You'll be safe."
This is year 2 for you in New York. Last year, your first year, you'd spent your entire career with the Brewers prior to coming over here. I'm sure a bit of a shock. Milwaukee and New York, not exactly the same place.
Opposites.
Full opposites, full-blown opposites.
Bigger buildings.
Yeah, I'd say that. How much easier is it for you just being more comfortable here in New York, knowing the lay of the land, knowing Citi Field better? You know, being a guy that's been here with a lot of new guys, you're kind of the one showing people around as opposed to being shown around.
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. I love it here, bro. I love the city. I love the baseball aspect. I love the fans. I love this team. I love the food, dude. I love it here, bro. I love where I'm staying at in Astoria. It's pretty.
You're talking to the mayor of Astoria.
Hey.
You know, I was going to ask you where you're living, but I was like, I'm not going to dox Tyrone Taylor on Meet at the Apple right now.
No, bro. Yeah, I love it out here, bro. Everything about it is cool. It is complete opposite from Milwaukee just because it's such a bigger city, bigger market baseball team. But yeah, it's been amazing. I'm trying to hang around as long as I can for sure.
All right, we've asked everybody we've talked to the last week this question, so I'm going to you, and I feel like you're going to
boy.
give me the best answer we've gotten yet.
What you got?
What do you think he's going to ask you?
Hopefully
It's not original.
Hopefully not a question I got to think too much about. Bro.
Oh, it's a thinking question. It's been a
one
viral
we've talked about, though.
It's been a
I know.
viral
I'm gonna be
conversation.
sitting here like this, thinking about what to say.
No, you've talked about it. I know you have because I heard this was a big Clubhouse
come on.
conversation. 100 men,
Oh,
one gorilla.
oh gosh, definitely the gorilla, bro.
Definitely the gorilla, dude. I
The
don't
gorilla.
understand.
Who's gonna be the? There's not gonna be people that are like, hey, I'll be the first to go after this gorilla and
We're picking the right
sacrifice
people
myself.
for this. It's not me, but those 100 people we pick, they have to be ready for battle.
The gorilla's smashing them, bro. There's no chance.
I think you need to give it up.
Well, first of all, we had other people agree with me. It's not like
Who
Have you
agreed
seen
with
this?
you?
Have you seen this? I
Clay
saw-
Holmes didn't agree with you.
but Pete apparently does, and Jesse Winker apparently does.
Nah, you know how your phones are always listening somehow,
Yeah.
and they. So on my phone, we've been talking about the gorilla simulation for so long that simulation of it actually came up on my phone of like I think it was it was like a bunch more gorillas, but it was the same. It was the same. Ended up
Was
being
it,
the same
yeah, I
amount.
saw it. It was 1,000,000 men versus 10,000
Yeah,
gorillas.
yeah. So it was the same.
Oh, they just multiplied it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still a
But the
100 to 1
Hey,
ratio.
yeah, same ratio. But the gorillas absolutely destroyed them, bro.
I just don't believe those simulations because the gorilla's like punching and like 13 people are flying, and that's not real.
Dude, if the gorilla,
How big is the gorilla? Because they're not all the same size.
That's true.
Like
There's
humans aren't all the same
Exactly.
size.
I think the gorilla picks up one guy or two guys at a time.
Bowling
the
ball.
people sees these dudes get dragged around like rag dolls, and they're like, "I'm out of here, bro. Like, I'm not fighting no gorilla." anymore."
All right, so we know where you stand now. That's good to know. So we have Tyrone Taylor's vote. We got to keep finding it. I'm going to ask this question until every single man on the roster answers it. But Tyrone, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today. You can follow this podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Vito Calise. You can follow me on Twitter at Vito F. Calise. John at JMB9191. Tyrone Taylor, thank you again, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, John. I think after this, I'm gonna limit how many people I ask the gorilla question to. It's already old at this point. It was pretty hot when we did these 3 interviews, so at the time it seemed relevant. But as I was editing this, I was like, you know what? I think I've reached my limit and I've gotten the answers I need.
Yeah, it might be time to find that next, fun viral topic to talk to, but always fun to talk to Tyrone. And he's playing great baseball right now, like we mentioned, OPSing just under 900 and a great part of this Mets clubhouse. So excited to see Tyrone return to Citi Field. Excited to see the Mets return to Citi Field. Excited to see all the great fans return to Citi Field as the Mets open a 9-game, 10-day homestand on Friday against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Should be a huge weekend. First fireworks night of the year on Friday night. Got a couple great giveaways this weekend. The White Sox come to town after that. Memorial Day on Monday. We got Bravo night on Wednesday, and then May 30th, the Rockies come to town. That's the second fireworks night, Friday night. So lots of big stuff coming up here at Citi Field. And guys, just remember, there's a ball club that's 10 games over 500 as we approach Memorial Day. We know they went a while without hitting a home run. That's not sustainable. The Mets are going to homer plenty, so get excited for a huge week. The boys are back, a little home cooking. It's going to be a great time at Citi Field. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's also the longest homestand of the season, so you're going to want to get out to this one because after this, the Mets are only home for really like a week at a time. And one more you didn't bring up. There's a big celebrity coming on Monday for Memorial Day. Captain Sully Sullenberger, Miracle on the Hudson, will be at Citi Field on Monday, throwing out the first pitch. So if you're like me, if you're a fan of a certain TV show, pretty electric. Maybe we'll get some answers. Maybe we'll find out the truth about the Miracle on the Hudson. If you know, you know. If you don't, my bad. One more person, John, I want to give a shout out to. We didn't bring him up on the episode. We said it early in the season. I believe we even talked about this at Mets House about how good he looked. Huáscar Brazoban. At Mets House, I remember sitting on the stage doing our preview, talking about who looked good, what the team was going to look like going into the season. Mention how good Brazoban looked in spring training. And I believe you said this is the guy they traded for last year is a top-level guy that you're going to see good stuff from going into this year. And Brazoban right now is locking down the inner circle. When Huáscar Brazoban comes out there, you feel a sigh of relief. And not only that, you feel like you're about to watch a guy who could be out there for 2-3 innings.
Yeah, Vito. I mean, the last couple of days, especially, we've seen him have some huge moments, getting big strikeouts in big situations. With runners on base this season, Huáscar Brazoban has held opponents to 4 for 45 with 12 strikeouts. That includes the strikeout of Anthony Volpe. That includes the strikeout of Alex Bregman on Wednesday night. But like you said, he has absolutely become a high leverage option for Carlos Mendoza, and he's been great. Last night on Wednesday, 8 whiffs on 18 swings, 4 for 4 with that riding 2-seam fastball and a really nasty like cut slider, I'd call it. So Brazoban has been great. An ERA now under 1. Another great find by the Mets. But remember, they found him last year. They made the trade. He winds up at AAA because he struggles, and the Mets have refined Brazoban's best stuff, and he's having all the success in the world. So lots of credit goes around to a lot of people, but obviously none more than to Huáscar Brazoban himself.
And you're talking about finding great deals, finding things when you're looking. There's no better place to find something you're looking for than PC Richard & Son.
That's right, Vito. I mean, they've got the best, the friendliest, the most knowledgeable staff, and they've got the best deals around as well for all anything you need: appliances, TVs, a mattress, whatever it might be. You head to PC Richard and Son; they'll take care of you. Like you said, they got the best deals around, and they've been doing it for the longest in the game, going all the way back to 1903. So, if you are in the market for maybe not a righty reliever, but a brand new TV, head to PC Richard and Son. They will take care of you. The leader doing it since 1903.
One of my favorite things about PC Richard is done those knowledgeable salespeople that know what they're talking about. You walk in there, you got a question about one TV versus another, they'll know. You got a question about one fridge versus another, they'll know. You want to know about a firm mattress versus a soft mattress, they know it all. So just a big thank you for PC Richard and Son for sponsoring this podcast. So we will see you guys next time. You can follow this podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm on Twitter at Vito at Calise, John at JMB9191. As I said in the beginning of this episode, and I will say it every episode, please rate, review the podcast. It goes a long way. It really helps us out. If you're listening along, tweet us. Always give us a shout out if you're listening. We love to know what your thoughts are. We love to know if you disagree with us. I think John likes it even more when you tweet at us when you disagree with us. So thank you guys for listening. This has been Meet at the Apple presented by PC Richard and Son.